Hello patrons! Okie dokie, right, it's time for the September update on Patreon. So this time, for this one, I thought we'd do something a little bit different. I'm going to be doing a Q&A. So I put out a little thing about the Q&A. I got a few responses, half of which are my parents, so we didn't get that much coming in. But what I've done is I'm going to answer those questions, and then I'm going to answer some questions that I tend to get on the road, like things people ask me every day. And I pulled a few off Facebook as well, so it's like the common stuff people ask me. And hopefully you can hear my answer rather than sort of, I suppose, what you guess is happening. I don't know, you probably know a lot already if you follow my social. So I'm just actually going from Taunton to Wellington today. I'm on the route and I've kind of just stopped off in this field in the middle of nowhere. My bike is somewhere over there by a fence. I'm keeping an eye on it. E.T. likes to go off and have a little cycle on his own sometimes. Never helps me, but you know, does his rounds. Okie dokie, right. So we're going to start with questions from my parents. Which is always a great way to start. Thank you very much to parents for supporting me as I've been going along. They've been helping me get like media attention and sort of sending emails and phone calls to like local news and radio along the way, which has been really helpful. Because sort of I'm on the road most of the time. It's quite hard for me to sit there, and I don't have my laptop or anything, to actually be able to email all this media and keep in contact with them has been quite difficult. And my parents have been helping a lot with that, and obviously as with parents, the way parents are, emotional support is wonderful. So this is from my dad, but I presume my mum's got involved as well. How do you stay motivated? Okie dokie. So it depends on the day, because if I'm having a good day, it feels like travel, it feels like excitement, and it is, you know, it's tough to an extent. I think my body's not quite used to it, so when it's like a sunny day, I feel it a lot. I haven't had real proper rest or training before this, so my thighs just a continuous like ache as I go through my day. But really it's just lovely, and there's lots of things to see, and the interactions with people really bring me up. So as I go along, in terms of staying motivated, it really only comes down to the bad days. So when we got rain or hail or winds, we had some 40-mile-an-hour winds the other day, and literally I was pedaling down hills. I cannot even explain. This wind just pushed me, and that was actually the day that I had a flat tire as well. So not a wonderful thing at all. But in those points, motivation becomes an issue, and it's really about getting back to why you're doing something. So you sort of return to the basic thought, because a lot of people, motivation, you have this big story that you tell people, you have everything that goes through your mind about, you know, the journey, and a lot of that is sort of a neatly formed narrative that you're telling people. You're not necessarily telling people the exact things, the ins and outs, the logistics. You're sort of giving them an overall picture, which is much in the way that we live our lives. We're story forming creatures, and we describe things in that way. We simplify it in order for us to make sense of things. And a neater story works better when interacting with people. But for me, when I'm actually on the road, I've also got all these things that have been happening, all these little reasons and things I like about the day, things I don't like, and different aspects to it. But what's important is to find one pure reason, one like very simple basic idea that you can hold on to that will keep you pedaling along. And for me, that idea, right, which I sort of didn't have initially when I started, that wasn't the reason I was doing it, but it sticks in my mind now, and I sort of was having this thought. It was pouring down with rain. I couldn't listen to music because it's literally like that much bad weather. It was just destroying my phone. So everything's packed away, and you're just sort of steadily going along. And my mountain bike, it's like pedaling through treacle. I've got the worst tyres for it. I've got a lot of weight on, so it's slow going. And I had this thought, and the thought I had was the idea that a normal guy or girl or alien, a normal person, can do something to inspire others, right? And it's not like I'm breaking any records, I'm not doing something that no one's seen before, I'm not doing like anything unbelievably challenging. I mean, there's challenging aspects, you know, it's a way of life that most people can't deal with, and there's a lot of bad days, but really it's within the capabilities of the normal person, but a lot of people don't act upon that. So it was this idea that more people could do similar things, and it's stemming from a place of kindness. I'm hoping to bring joy into the days of others and help the lives of children. So it's coming from a good place. And I'm watching as sort of, it's a bit of a ripple. So a few things I've been doing, I mean, this is a very small degree, but I've inspired a few people to want to get involved with other projects, and they've got barefoot relays going on for the charity at the moment. So they're all doing these barefoot runs, and I've got messages from people saying they wanted to do it because they'd seen what I've done, and it's this kind of ripple effect. And it all stems from this idea that a regular guy, like, I'm not an athlete by any standards, can just get up without any training and want to do something to help other people. And I think it's quite a powerful idea that we all have that sort of capability to do something like that. And you know, in a small way, if that can get other people and lead them to live in a different way, and even, you know, you don't even have to go on a challenge, but in the way you interact with people, or anything, any small inspiration that you give other people is a great thing. And it's this idea that a normal person can do something a little bit different, a little bit extraordinary, you know. I just think there's lots of people that do cycle tours and stuff, but not a huge deal, and I think a lot of people would love it. They love the way of life, and I really recommend it if you want to do like a charity challenge or something. It's a worthwhile thing. Right, so what I'll do now is get on to the second question, which one of these is probably from my mum. What am I eating? Now that's an interesting one. Food-wise, food has been a big issue for me, actually. So I've been sort of going round and round, trying to work out what the best thing to eat. I don't eat anything particular, anything very healthy, to be honest. And initially I was thinking, right, I need to be eating the right things, blah, blah, blah. But really it's just about fueling my body, which I'm not always good at doing. But if I'm eating enough, then I usually feel okay. I have noticed that I've been dropping lots of weight. I don't know if that's just sort of the look after I've been cycling, or whether I actually have less weight. I have to find out when I get home. But I've noticed a big difference, and actually I feel less hungry. I'm cycling all the time, and when I get off the bike I'm quite tired, so I don't tend to want to eat. So it's getting in the habit of making myself eat more than I would usually. I think my stomach has shrunk a little bit. So some days I'm going out and I can't find shops, so I usually have a packet of biscuits spare in the basket of ET. And what I've learned, it sort of reminds me of those Pez things you had as a kid with that, you know, you'd flick up or whatever. What I've learned is, it's a bit of a technique, but as I cycle, I've got one hand on the bike and one hand on a packet of like Oreos or 59p like biscuits, like just cheap biscuits, and I flick them up like you do the Pez. I flick them up one into the other, I flick them into my mouth as I'm cycling along, and I can imagine how ridiculous that must look, seeing me with ET eating biscuits on the route. But it's the best way to keep me going. If I haven't had any food, I'll just eat biscuits and keep fueling along while I cycle, and then I'll get some food when I eventually get to stop. So I had one day where I couldn't find anything. I didn't have any food till like 3 p.m. And all I was living off was like these 59p basic range biscuits. But they did the job, you know, they kept me going. Felt a bit sickly when I got there. I'd eaten a whole pack of biscuits, but that does it. And in terms of stuff I eat in the day, like if I'm staying with someone, which is happening a lot more regularly, they usually give me breakfast, and it'll just be a bit of toast or some cereal. And then through the day I'll usually have like a meal deal or something, and in the evening, if I'm staying with someone, I can have whatever they offer. So it's been a big change as I've been going along, lots of different stuff on the way. So the only thing I've been conscious of recently is this idea of sort of producing too much waste. And I think as I'm going to shops, you know, if you get a meal deal, a lot of it is packaged in plastic, and it's really bad because they don't always have recycling bins. It's like every day I'm producing something, and I don't want to like sort of be part of that. I don't want to keep doing that, especially if it's every day. It makes a big difference. So I noticed that to begin with, and I've started switching to stuff that's made out of like paper, because a lot of like the sandwich boxes are paper and stuff. So I've been trying to switch over, or you know, put my rubbish in and then wait for a recycling bin, so that I'm trying to have a better impact like environmentally. But I'm finding it quite hard because everything's in packaging, unless you buy sort of like, you know, meat or raw fruit and veg or that kind of thing. Where I can't cook on the way, so I'm having a real struggle. I'd like to learn a bit more about how people, because I know people do cycles like zero waste. I must find a way. That's one to work on. Right, so I'm going to get to the final Patreon question, or patron question. I always get confused with this one. This is from Anna McGee. This is a very good friend of mine that lives in Godalming. And she's asked me an question. I'm guessing she's probably going to be one of the first people I see when I get back. So, but she couldn't wait about this question. So, what she's asked me is, how much does my arse hurt? This seems to be on people's minds, this idea. When I set off initially, I had some padded shorts and we bought them last minute because everyone was telling me about them. Every cyclist known to man that knew I was doing something was telling me padded shorts, padded shorts, padded shorts. And I was like, nah, I don't need it. I had them in my bag. I was like, I'll take them if I need them. Halfway through the first day, I put them on and I haven't taken them off since. I wear them every single day. I don't wear anything else. And you just wear them on your own. You don't wear like underwear or anything. You just wear these padded shorts. Because yes, your ass does begin to hurt. And so to begin with, it was a lot of pain. It was the worst thing. And you'd get off the bike and you'd feel it. And you'd just be sort of like walking around. You're sort of hobbling around like, it was terrible, terrible pain. But you get used to it very quickly. So a few days in, probably like day 3 or 4, I got used to the pain, and now I don't get any pain. Like, I still wear the padded shorts, but I guess it's just toughening up, becoming a leathery backside, I'm sure. So yeah, not so much on that front yet. But I keep going with the I keep going with the padded shorts. I'm going to keep wearing them. I swear by them. They're really, really good. And hopefully, as I sort of get hills and get nearer to the end, I'm hoping that I'm good now. Like, I'm not going to have any big issues, because it's not a lot of fun. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly go through these other questions that I get. I'll try and rattle through a few of these so the video's not crazy long again. Where do I sleep? Right, I get asked this all the time. I have a one-man tent with me. It's like a coffin-like tent which collapsed on the first night. So far, we've been on the road for 16 days, I think, and I've slept in the tent twice, right? I initially had the tent thinking that I'm going to sleep pretty much every night, occasional host, but really it would be pretty much non-stop in the tent. I thought I'd be doing wild camping and it would be very tough, and that was a big part of the challenge. Then when I set off, so many people were offering me places. Couch surfing was really good for people getting responses, and I've stayed with someone every single night apart from 2. Last night was one of the times I stayed in the tent. And I think I'm not going to be staying in the tent again. It looks like people have offered me the whole way, which is amazing. That people are so kind and they want to have me round. And for me, obviously, it's much better. I'd rather not sleep in the tent. I can sleep on someone's sofa or in a bed or a mattress on the floor. And the best part of it is I actually get to interact with people, because otherwise my day would be just on my own, really. It would be pretty much day after day just spending time on my own. I have ET, and I have started talking to ET, which is bad. I'm worried for my psyche. But really, if I didn't have that interaction in the evening, it wouldn't be the same. And I've had wonderful nights meeting all different people. I've met some friends along the way that I've known. I've met random strangers and stayed at their houses. And you'll hear more about that when I do the weekly updates and stuff. The last person I stayed with these 3 girls in the house, and it was like Friday night. We played loads of cards. They made me some risotto, which was really nice. I think they're all veggie or vegan or something, so I had like pumpkin risotto, and then had loads of rum, which is obviously my favourite. So I was drinking lots and lots of rum, playing cards, and really just relaxing like you would on a Friday night, which is really nice after you sort of have the whole day on the bike. To get some socialising and stuff. It was really, really fun. Not so fun waking up and cycling hungover, but nevertheless, I'm glad I did it. Right. Oh, so as for the tent, I'm thinking when I get to the next town, I'm going to see if there's any homeless people around and give it to one of them, because I'm kind of trusting in people now, and I think I'm just gonna give it to someone, and then I can save like 2 kg, which would be really cool. Why ET? That's a common one. So the idea just came sort of early on. I don't know why really. It's more the fact that I had this mad image in my head that you're sitting there having a cup of coffee, you're a bit miserable, it's raining, COVID's on your mind, there's a lot of stuff and sort of mental anguish, you know, like stuff going round and round and round you can't get rid of, and you're peering out in a bad mood, and then through the rain suddenly ET flies by And I think if you saw E.T., you couldn't help but smile. And that was sort of the idea behind it. As E.T. goes along, I see people smile, I see people laugh, I see the interactions of people. It's lovely, and just hearing people go, oh, it's E.T. And you see that joy in all ages. You've got the young, you've got adults that were there when it came out, and you've got elderly who've seen it. You've got all different kind of people. It's unbelievable, all ages. People I wouldn't think know the film. Everyone seems to know it. It's a recognisable character, even from the side, like the silhouette, and just being able to bring some joy into people's days. It's just lovely. Just seeing people smile, and especially if you've got stuff going on and you've had something in your mind for days or hours, and it's going round and round and round, and you can't break out of that. Often you're living in the past or the future, so something's bothering you from something that's happened, or you're worried about something that's going to happen, and it can be hard when you're in your own mind to be present and kind of snap out of it for a minute, because if you actually think about what's happening right now, it's usually not that bad. So I think E.T. does that. He just goes, whoa, it's E.T. Oh, it's so funny. And then for a minute they just forget what they're thinking about, and you get a lot of relief from that. So I think it's nice to be able to do that for people, and E.T. is a big part of that. Right, so what is the best part? What is the worst part? So best part of the journey is interacting with people. It is the best thing in the world. It's what I've always liked. And I have a lot of debates with this about people. I think that people are fundamentally kind, and a lot of people disagree with me because there is a lot of evil in the world. There's a lot of bad people in the world, and this has always been the case. There's terrible people, and there is people that would, probably steal my charity money, that kind of thing. But when you're on the road, and I can only explain this to people that have also done travelling, but they're like backpacking on the road and this kind of thing, you see a different side to the world, and I feel like news and the stories people tell are not always a real version of what's happening. News tends to be sold on fear as a basis. It spreads, it just sells better. You never hear the nice stories. It just doesn't get good publicity. So you tend to hear the worst all the time, and also there's so much going on that you've got this constant feed of bad things, and you might have a notion about a country before you've been there, and you might think, oh, that's a scary country, or there's something wrong about that, or there's bad things going on, and sometimes there is, but not in all of the country, and it doesn't mean that everyone's like that. And often when you're actually on the road, it's a different story, and you'll find that if you go country to country, every country will tell you that the next country is the enemy. Oh, don't go there. Oh, don't go to our neighbour country. Oh, no, they're not very friendly there. And you get there and they're really hospitable. And then they tell you the same about the next country and the next country. And it's really interesting how we interpret different borders or different people, groups of people, and we think of in a certain way, but it's often not true. It's often sort of what the news has been pushing. So I find actually being on the road, and if you ever give it a try, I promise you will receive exactly the same thing. People are incredibly kind and hospitable on the road. People help me all the time. If I'm just stopped with the bike, people come chat to me, they offer me water, they offer me food, people want me to stay at their houses, people literally give me things that I don't need. I got these people that stopped from Openreach, and they were like fixing some broadband. I was like, oh my god, is that ET? And I told them what I was doing, and they wanted to give me everything. They gave me Openreach water bottles, they were giving me like cable ties to fix my tent. It was a mad thing. So yeah, there's this thing when you go along, you'll start to realise that people are really, really kind on the way, and you're not going to have every day with nothing going wrong, or one person that's sort of a bit confused by what you're doing. But really what you experience, and this is again only for people that's sort of on the road, people will help you if things go wrong. If you're in a spot of bother and you're like, how am I going to get out of this situation, I've run out of water, this could be bad, somehow it always works out and someone will come to help. Even if you don't have access to social media, someone you meet on the road has the right story, the right connections. People will be willing to help you more than you think. Someone that's just going by can go to the ends of the earth just to help you out, and it's just a traveller thing. And I think maybe there's something to that. I'm not sure, but it's a wonderful thing. And I really, if any of you get the opportunity to do a bit of backpacking or go on a tour of some sort, you'll experience it and you'll know what I mean. But please do, because it's wonderful. Worst part. So in terms of the worst parts of the journey, it really comes down to when it's raining, when it's hailing, when the weather's bad. But at that time, when it's a little bit difficult and it's sort of not the highlight of the journey, it becomes the best thing in memory. So as you sort of carry on and you look back at it, you're quite glad that you did it, and it really sums it up and makes it more visceral, more like a real adventure. And I feel like often people neglect that. So when you go on holiday, it's all highlights, it's like dopamine hits, and it's like you're going from one place to the other, you're seeing all the best spots, you're not actually getting a real sense of travel. So you kind of get this constant up, and then it's not quite real travelling. You're just seeing the best parts of the country, experience the best things, and you spend the most money, and it's not real travelling. I like very gritty travel. I actually enjoy it, which is a hard thing to explain to people, but if I'm on a bus for 24 hours being knocked about and sleeping on a seat with a seatbelt digging into the side of me, those are my best times. You know, when I'm cycling along through the rain and I feel like I've got through something, it's my best time. So even the worst bits are pretty good anyway, because it gives you this real sense of adventure. And you know, the great adventure stories you hear, and I have a love of mythology as well, they always have bad things happen, but it makes the story so much more interesting, and it makes your journey much better. I can't explain, but you need the bad things just as well as good things. Right, so final question. Final couple questions. Right, why I'm on a mountain bike? I'm on a mountain bike because I dug it out of my shed. I didn't have another bike, and I set off. It's a nightmare. It's not really designed for the road. I've got mountain bike tyres on it, so it's slow as anything, and it's really heavy. So once I got my gear on plus the bike, it's so heavy you don't go anywhere. So it was a very spontaneous decision. I grabbed it and went. If I do any cycling in the future, I will definitely be getting a road bike. The final question is, why Hope for Hasty? Hope for Hasty is a wonderful charity. I saw what Chris was doing. I got told by friend Lily in the pub, which is where all great stories begin, and I got told about this guy called Chris who was walking the length of England barefoot, and I admired what he did. I thought it was incredible, and it was all for his daughter, and just sort of had admiration for what he did. It inspired me, it made me want to do something, and I seized the opportunity to go out with basically no training, no planning, and threw it all together very, very quickly. But I think it was that spark of inspiration that led me to want to help, and I think it's a wonderful charity. It's a small charity, so I feel like I'm making a difference. I'm in contact with them. I'm not in contact with, you know, some social media manager. I'm in contact with the people that run it, and I'm going to meet them along the way. And I think I wouldn't have got the same kindness and care if I'd done it for like some big charity thing. So that was why, and I hope that I can make a little bit of a difference. So that's the end of the September update. It's not quite as long as normal, which is good. I hope you guys are having a lovely day. And if you have any more questions, just drop me a message, and I will answer them for you. See you later.